When your child is born, their brain is about a quarter of the size that it's going to be as a full-grown adult. By age 1, their brain has doubled in size to about half of what it's going to be as a full-grown adult. And by the time they are about age 4, their brain has developed to about 80% of what it's going to be as a full-grown adult. Think about the opportunity that you have if you were to foster their brain growth and their development these young ages. That's why most developmental psychologists and doctors and people who work with kids talk about these early, crucial, foundational years. And so my kids are now 25, 23, 23. And I'm going to share with you what little I did in order to be able to help them prepare for school and their future education. Now, I'm not talking about like tiger parenting, like you have to go, 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 and I want you to be at the top of your class. I'm just talking about developing their brain, taking advantage of these early years, and giving them every possible head start that I could possibly give them. Now, like I said, when my kids were babies and toddlers, there was no internet, there was no YouTube. So I didn't know that one day I was going to be talking about this stuff on such a public forum. If I had known, I would have taken better notes. And so this is just now looking back, the things that I'm glad I did, what I wished I did a little bit differently, and what I would do now if I had a baby right now, and what that would look like. Number 1, completely reduce or minimize any kind of media consumption. I know this is so much easier said than done at this point in time. Back when my kids were little, we did not have cell phones, we did not have iPads, we did not have internet, we just had a television with a VHS player. It was a lot easier to deal with, so I get that. But it doesn't mean that things have changed in terms of human development or what our children need. Their brains are still the same. So one of the best things that you can do is minimize media consumption as much as you possibly can. This will help their creativity to grow. They are constantly taking in information, and rather than taking in other people's ideas and other people's creativity and other people's storylines and other people's pictures, allow them to develop their own. Allow their brains to create. Allow their brains to dream. Allow their brains to observe the world around them. Even for me, I still feel like I let my kids watch a little bit too much TV. Maybe it was about an hour a day or so. But then there were some times when we would move and they would watch a lot more TV than I liked. And if I could do it over again, they would have watched less TV. I cannot emphasize to you how important it is to turn off the screens. And this is going to pay off for you in the future, because they're not going to struggle as much as in school. I do believe that a lot of the educational struggles that kids have is due to too much media consumption in the early years. If they have no creativity because they just have watched TV so much, when they're older, how are they supposed to come up with creative things? How are they supposed to analyze literature? How are they supposed to critically think about things? It just makes it too hard. Their brains should already be developing in this way. Number 2, read to them as much as possible. I'll tell you that I did read to my kids a lot. I knew this was very important, but if I could do it over again, I would read to them even more. Now, I'm not talking hours upon hours a day, even though because of homeschooling, it did kind of look like that for me, but maybe 15 minutes, morning, noon, and night, maybe 30 minutes at night together. The investment of putting in this little bit of time and reading books to your kids and reading along with them, it pays back multiple times. It pays back 10, 100-fold over and over again. I cannot tell you how much it will help them in their future if you read to them. Their creativity and imaginations are lit. Their vocabulary is going to grow. The emotional nurturing that you provide to them and that they feel with you, with the precious time that you spend together. They're going to be able to put together words and make sentences that are far beyond their years. Now, you do not need to buy books and create your own library. Go to the public library, take advantage of all the resources there. Going to the library also allows you to give them socialization, which is also very important. I'll get to that. But take them to the library, let them take out all the books that they want, take them out each week, and turn that trip to the library into an enjoyable mommy and baby event. Take out a ton of books, go through the books throughout the week, spend that precious time with your children, read to them, talk about the pictures with them, ask them what they think, have them write or draw their own books. I cannot emphasize this enough. And if you plan on homeschooling your children in the future, which is something I did not know I was going to do when my kids were little, but if you plan on homeschooling, I am telling you that this is the number one thing that you can do for your children now to make homeschooling later on so much easier. Number 3, for the purposes of education, all you need are index cards and markers. That is literally all you need to spend time with your child and teach them new things. I would recommend making index cards of the alphabet, of numbers, of shapes, of colors, of anything and everything that interests your child, and going over it with them and teaching them things, having them point things out, showing excitement when they learn. And if you watched my other video on how to teach your children to read, you know that they have a special way of writing their letters that go with a particular sound. You could technically make index cards for those and start teaching your children the sounds of these letters, preparing them for learning how to read in a couple of years. Index cards are so cheap. You buy a pack of Crayola crayon markers and you just make index cards for anything and everything that you can possibly think about and use these in order to stimulate your child's educational abilities. Number 4, when your children are talking with you, or even if they're babies and they're babbling, at least 40 to 50% of the time, you do not have to be 100% perfect with this. In fact, it's actually better if it's not perfect because they need to learn some frustration. But when your children are talking to you, about half the time, look them in the eyes and show them with your face and your smile that you are intently listening to them, that what they are saying matters to you, and that they are important to you. This is going to give them an incredible amount of self-confidence. This is also going to help establish you as a person worthy of their trust, and also as someone that they can come and talk to. You are not only developing a strong emotional foundation for them, but you are also building their self-confidence. You're also building your own relationship with them. And so just remember, look them in the eyes, smile, and show them with your face and your body language that you love listening to them talk. Then, when it comes to toys, keep toys minimal and simple. This is actually a mistake that I made. I do feel like now, looking back, and my husband told me that I would regret it one day. I do think that I bought way too many toys for my kids. One of the things I've learned is that all of the toys that they have out there these days, they are basically taking away your child's own creativity. Instead of buying them a kitchen set, let them build a kitchen set. And these days, because we all do online shopping, I'm sure that we all have plenty of big boxes around, especially if you have little children and you're buying diapers. Let them have these boxes, give them some markers, give them a bunch of tape, and let them create their own things. Not only are you capturing their creativity and their own imagination, you are also going to be buying yourself a lot of time. It's going to take them a lot more time to create their own kitchen set rather than to just play with one. And we as parents have all had that experience where we bought our children some kind of big fancy toy only to have them play with it for about 10 minutes and then never show interest in it again. We don't have to do this. So save yourself all the money because you're going to need that money later on as they get older. Keep toys minimal. Keep them grouped by use. And what I mean by that is if you do buy them a lot of toys, buy one particular kind that can build upon each other and that also stimulates their imagination. A favorite is Legos. Who can never have enough Legos? Buy them as many Legos as people want to buy them and use that as a particular kind of grouping and let them just play with that. And by giving them all the Legos that they have more room and ability and things to grow their creativity and play. And then last, but also just as important as everything else, and extremely important for all of us as humans, is get them outside to socialize every single day. Get them outside to the mall, to the grocery store, have a lot of play dates, go to church and take them to the nurseries there, get together with your mom friends, go to the playground, even if it's to the grocery store, go outside and get your children socialized and get them seeing and interacting with other people. When I was a young mom, most of my friends were not even married yet, much less had kids, and so I didn't have a lot of people to meet up with during the day. But I would go to mommy and me classes, I went to the library story hour, whatever I could take advantage of to take my kids so that they could meet other people. Of course, I had my friends over, but like I said, none of them even had children. But still, that interaction is great. But one of the things I would do is a couple times a week, I would actually take my kids to the mall. I would take them to the mall. The mall was usually pretty quiet around that time, just a lot of other moms with kids or maybe older people. And so it was a much more pleasant environment, but I could take them, they could run around, we could go to the food court. Sometimes they would talk with other people. I would let them pick out a treat. But these kind of interactions are vital for children. You do not want to keep them at home every single day unless they're sick. So I hope that you have found some use in some of the things I've shared. Like I said, this was 20 some years ago. These are the things that I know that I would do and what I would share with a new mom. So if you have any questions, please feel free to leave them in the comments. And if I find that there are things that jog my memory or come back up for me, I'm going to make another follow-up video with more clarification and more guidance as to what it is that I did.